Lieutenant Daewon stared at his screen with wide eyes. His coffee cup stopped halfway to his mouth. The numbers made no sense. The signal was impossible. It had to be a mistake. He was sitting in the monitoring station on Earth's lunar base doing his usual night shift. Nothing ever happened during night shifts. He checked satellites, monitored space debris, and mostly tried to stay awake. But now his screen was filled with data that changed everything. The signal was clearly artificial. It came from 47 light-years away, and it was calling for help. Daewon ran the analysis 3 more times. Each time the computer confirmed it. This was a distress call. From aliens. Real aliens. His hands shook as he reached for the emergency communication button. Within an hour, Admiral Tae-yang arrived at the monitoring station. He was a tall man with gray hair and calm eyes that had seen 30 years of naval service. He read the data without saying a word. The room was completely silent except for the soft beeping of computers. Finally, Tae-yang spoke. His voice was quiet but steady. "Can you translate it?" he asked. Daewon nodded quickly. "The computer is working on it now. The signal includes mathematical patterns and basic chemistry. They're using universal constants to build a translation key. It's actually quite brilliant, sir." They waited. Daewon had never seen the Admiral nervous before, but now he noticed the older man's fingers tapping against his leg. Everyone in the room felt it. Humanity was about to read its first message from another intelligent species. The computer chimed. Words appeared on the screen. "To anyone who receives this message, we are the Valorian people. Our world is dying. An enemy we cannot fight has come to our system. They consume everything. They have destroyed our orbital stations. Our ships cannot harm them. We have 8 billion people with nowhere to run. Please, if anyone can hear this, we need help. We are not warriors. We do not know how to fight. We are dying. Please help us." The room was completely silent. Daewon felt his throat tighten. Somewhere out there, an entire civilization was being destroyed. "Call Dr. Soo-jin," Tae-yang said. "I want to know everything about these Valorians. And wake up the command staff. All of them." 2 hours later, the command center was full. Military officers in uniform stood around a large table with holographic displays. Dr. Soo-jin, the chief medical officer and xenobiologist, presented her findings. "The signal includes biological data," she explained, pointing to the screens. "The Valorians are herbivores. Their body chemistry suggests they evolved on a world with no predators. They communicate through sound and light patterns. From what we can tell, they've never experienced war. They literally don't understand the concept of killing another intelligent being." Captain Hana stepped forward. She commanded Earth's newest battleship, the Indomitable. Her reputation as a fighter was well known throughout the fleet. "What about the enemy?" she asked. "The ones attacking them?" Daewon pulled up new data. "We've picked up other signals from that area. Old ones from different sources. Whatever is attacking the Valorians has done this before, many times. They move from system to system, consuming everything." The room erupted in arguments. Some officers said it wasn't their problem. Others said they should send the signal to Earth's government and wait for orders. A few suggested sending only a science vessel to observe. Admiral Tae-yang listened to all of them. Then he raised his hand for silence. "We've been alone in the universe for our entire history," he said. "We've always wondered if anyone else was out there. Now we know, and the first message we receive is a cry for help from people who don't know how to save themselves." He looked around the room, meeting each person's eyes. "If we ignore this, what does that say about humanity? That we only care about ourselves? That we let entire civilizations die while we debate and wait for permission?" Captain Hana smiled. "You want to go help them?" "I want to do what's right," Tae-yang replied. "We have the fastest ships humanity has ever built. We have weapons. We have warriors. And somewhere out there, 8 billion innocent people are dying because nobody will help them." The room fell silent again. Then Colonel Jae-sung, commander of the Marine Forces, spoke up. "My Marines are ready, Admiral. Just give the word." One by one, the other officers agreed. Commander Yuna, the fighter wing leader, stepped forward. "Sir, we didn't join the military to sit in orbit around Earth. We signed up to protect people. If that includes aliens, then so be it." Tae-yang nodded slowly. He knew this decision would have consequences. Earth's government might be angry. The politicians would certainly complain. But some decisions couldn't wait for committees and debates. "Prepare the fleet," he ordered. 47 ships. Everything we have that can fight. Load maximum weapons and supplies. We leave in 12 hours. The command center exploded into activity. Officers ran to their stations. Communication channels opened. Throughout Earth's orbital stations and lunar bases, alarms began to sound. The first contact fleet was mobilizing. Dr. Sujin approached the Admiral privately. Admiral, we don't know what we're flying into. This enemy, whatever it is, has destroyed dozens of civilizations. They might be more powerful than us. Tae-Yang looked at the star map showing the Valoria system. Maybe they are, he said quietly. But we're from Earth. We evolved on a planet that tried to kill us every single day. We survived ice ages and supervolcanoes. We fought off predators that should have wiped us out. We learned to adapt, to improvise, to never give up. He turned to face her. If this enemy thinks they can intimidate humans, they're about to learn something important. You don't threaten innocent people while humanity is watching. Not anymore. 12 hours later, the fleet assembled in formation. 47 warships, from massive dreadnoughts to quick destroyers. Each one carried the best weapons and technology humanity could create. The crews were ready. The weapons were loaded. The reactors hummed with power. On the bridge of the Indomitable, Captain Hana addressed her crew over the ship-wide channel. Today we make history, she said. We're not just going to meet aliens. We're going to save them. When they ask who came to help them, you tell them it was humanity. Tell them we came from a death world called Earth. And tell them that as long as humans exist, nobody fights alone. The crew cheered. Throughout the fleet, similar speeches were being given. The energy was electric. Humanity was finally reaching out to the stars, not to conquer, but to protect. Admiral Tae-Yang sat in his command chair, reviewing the tactical data one more time. Day 1 stood nearby at his engineering station. The jump to faster than light will take 12 days, Day 1 reported. We'll arrive at the edge of their system. Good, Tae-Yang said. Make sure every ship knows the plan. We jump in together. We assess the situation. Then we show whoever's attacking the Valorians what happens when you threaten innocent people. The navigation officer counted down. Jump in 10 seconds, 9, 8, 7. Tae-Yang took a deep breath. This was it. Humanity's first contact with alien life. He hoped they would be remembered as saviors, not invaders. He hoped they weren't too late. 3, 2, 1, jump. Space twisted around the fleet. Reality bent and folded. In an instant, 47 human warships vanished from Earth's orbit, racing across the galaxy toward a desperate people who had sent out one last hope into the darkness. That hope had been answered. The Deathworlders were coming. The Valoria system was a horror show. When the human fleet dropped out of faster-than-light travel, every sensor immediately lit up with targets. Thousands of ships surrounded the planet, debris floated everywhere, burning orbital stations tumbled through space, and escape pods, millions of them scattered like seeds in the wind. Admiral Tae-Yang stood frozen on his command deck, staring at the tactical display. He had prepared himself for a bad situation. This was worse than his darkest imagination. How many enemy ships? He asked quietly. Day 1's voice was shaky. The initial count shows 5,000, sir. They're swarming around the planet like insects. Captain Hana contacted him from the Indomitable. Her face appeared on his screen. She looked calm, but her eyes were hard. Admiral, we're outnumbered 100 to 1. What are your orders? Tae-Yang looked at the dying planet on his screen. He thought about turning back. It would be the smart decision. The safe decision. Nobody could blame them for retreating against such impossible odds. Then he saw one of the escape pods explode. An enemy ship had shot it. Hundreds of Valorian civilians died in an instant. His jaw tightened. All ships, battle stations, he ordered. Let's show them what Deathworlders can do. The enemy noticed them immediately. Of course they did. 47 new targets had just appeared. A group of about 200 enemy ships broke off from the main swarm and headed toward the human fleet. Day 1 analyzed the approaching ships quickly. They're not taking us seriously, sir. Those ships would be enough to destroy most civilizations, but compared to their full force, it's just a greeting party. Good, Commander Yuna said over the fleet channel. Her fighter wing was already launching from the carriers. Let's teach them not to underestimate humans. The enemy ships were strange. They looked organic, like they were grown instead of built. Dark shells covered with spikes and strange bulges. They moved in perfect coordination like a school of fish. Yuna led her fighters forward. 90 small fast ships streaked toward the enemy. The alien vessels opened fire first, shooting beams of green energy that lit up space. The human fighters dodged. Their movements were sharp and unpredictable. Pilots pulled maneuvers that should have knocked them unconscious from the force. But humans evolved in high gravity. Their bodies could handle it. The enemy weapons are energy-based, Daewon reported. They dissipate quickly in vacuum. Short range only. Yuna grinned in her cockpit. Copy that. Staying at range. Engaging now. Her fighters opened fire. The difference was immediately obvious. Human weapons didn't use energy beams. They used solid projectiles. Metal slugs accelerated to incredible speeds by magnetic rails. The first alien ship simply came apart. The metal slug hit its hull and punched straight through, creating a massive hole. Atmosphere vented. The ship tumbled dead. More slugs followed. More ships died. The aliens tried to dodge, but human targeting computers were designed for combat on Earth, where everything moved fast and unpredictably. These alien ships were slow by comparison. Within 10 minutes, 50 alien ships were destroyed. The survivors tried to scatter, but Captain Hana's battleship entered range. The Indomitable was massive. Its main railgun was the size of a building. When it fired, the recoil pushed the entire ship backward. The slug moved at a significant fraction of light speed. It hit an alien cruiser and didn't just destroy it. The ship exploded so violently that the shockwave damaged nearby vessels. Hana allowed herself a small smile. Reload main gun. All secondary batteries, pick your targets. The rest of the human fleet joined in. Destroyers, cruisers, and frigates all opened fire. The space between the fleets lit up with the trails of thousands of projectiles. The alien ships had shields designed to deflect energy weapons. But kinetic weapons, solid chunks of metal moving at tremendous speed, went right through. The shields might as well have been paper. In 40 minutes, all 200 alien ships were destroyed. Human casualties, 0. The command deck was silent. Everyone stared at the tactical display in disbelief. They had just won their first battle against aliens, and it hadn't even been close. But Tae-Yang didn't celebrate. He was watching the main alien force. They had noticed now. They were no longer treating the humans as a minor annoyance. "Sir," Daewon said nervously, "we're being scanned. Deep scans. They're trying to figure out what we are." An incoming transmission appeared. It took the computers a moment to translate the alien language. "Unidentified vessels. You have interfered with the brood swarm's harvest. Withdraw immediately or be consumed like all the others before you." Tae-Yang looked at the burning planet below. He thought about the Valorians, peaceful people who had never known war, dying by the billions. He thought about that escape pod being destroyed. He opened a channel to broadcast to the entire alien fleet. "This is Admiral Tae-Yang of Earth. You are attacking innocent people. You are killing civilians. We are ordering you to leave this system immediately. This is your only warning." There was a long pause. Then the alien voice returned. It sounded amused. "Earth, we have no record of this species. You will be studied after we consume you. War leader Krevnak has spoken. You have been warned." The transmission ended. Captain Hana contacted Tae-Yang again. "They're sending everything, sir. All 5,000 ships. Heading right for us." Tae-Yang nodded slowly. He pulled up the file Dr. Sujin had prepared before they left Earth. Information about the brood. What little humanity knew about them. They were a hive mind. All the ships connected to one leader. They had destroyed dozens of civilizations over thousands of years. They viewed other species as nothing more than food. He looked at his crew. They were scared but ready. They trusted him to lead them. "Open a channel to the fleet," he ordered. Every human ship received his message. "Everyone listen closely. We're outnumbered. The enemy is coming with everything they have. If we fight them head-on, we'll lose." He paused, letting that sink in. "But we're not going to fight them head-on. We're going to fight them like humans. We're going to use every advantage we have. We're going to be smart, fast, and absolutely ruthless. We're going to show them what happens when they pick a fight with a species from a death world." Throughout the fleet, crews cheered. Hana smiled grimly on her bridge. Yuna checked her fighters' weapons one more time. Colonel Jae-sung gathered his Marines, preparing for boarding actions. In the distance, one of the Valorian escape pods picked up the human transmissions. Inside, Ambassador Thelvis listened with his people huddled around him. They had never heard anything like this. The humans spoke of war like it was something natural. They prepared to face impossible odds without hesitation. Thelvis felt something his peaceful species rarely experienced: hope. On the human flagship, Tai Yang gave his final orders. All ships, prepare for combat. This is going to be the fight of our lives. Make sure when it's over, everyone in this galaxy knows one thing. When someone sends out a distress call, humans answer. And when humans fight, we don't lose. The brood swarm was coming. 5,000 ships against 47. On paper, it was suicide. But the brood had never fought Deathworlders before. Lieutenant Daewon worked faster than he ever had in his life. His fingers flew across the control panel. Around him, engineering teams modified weapons, recalibrated shields, and prepared every trick humanity had ever developed. How long until they reach us? He asked without looking up. 2 hours, someone replied. The brood fleet is moving slower than expected. They think we'll run. Daewon smiled grimly. Then they don't know humans very well. Admiral Tai Yang had called it Deathworld Doctrine. It was simple. On Earth, humans survived because they didn't fight fair. They used tools, traps, ambushes, and every advantage they could find. They adapted to every environment. They turned weaknesses into strengths. That's what they would do here. Daewon finished his calculations. Sir, I have an idea. Remember those destroyed alien ships from the first battle? Tai Yang looked at the debris field floating between them and the approaching enemy fleet. What about them? Their reactors are still intact. If we overload them with our own power cores, we can turn each wreck into a massive bomb. Then we scatter them throughout the debris field. When the brood flies through, we detonate them all at once. Captain Hana, listening from her ship, laughed. A minefield, made from their own ships. I like it. Make it happen, Tai Yang ordered. We have 2 hours. Engineering teams launched from every human ship. They worked in spacesuits, moving from wreck to wreck, planting modified reactors. It was dangerous work. Some of the wrecks were still venting atmosphere or leaking radiation. Meanwhile, Dr. Su Jin made a discovery. She had been analyzing the alien bodies recovered from destroyed ships. Admiral, I found something important. Go ahead, Doctor. The brood ships aren't individuals. They're all connected to their war leader through quantum communication. It's like a wireless network, but using quantum entanglement. Every ship receives orders instantly across any distance, Tai Yang frowned. That explains their coordination. They move like one organism. Yes, but there's more. If we can jam that frequency, we can disrupt their communication. The individual ships won't be able to coordinate. They'll be confused, easier to fight. Daewon pulled up her research. His eyes widened. I can build a jammer. It won't completely cut them off, but it will create interference. Make it harder for them to work together. Do it, Tai Yang said. Every advantage counts. The 2 hours passed quickly. The human fleet was ready. The minefield was set. The jammer was active. And the brood swarm was about to arrive. On the brood command ship, war leader Krevnak observed through the eyes of his drones. These new aliens, these humans, had destroyed his greeting party easily. That was concerning, but not alarming. Numbers would overwhelm them. He sent 5,000 ships forward. More than enough to crush any resistance. The brood fleet entered the debris field. They flew in perfect formation, thousands of ships moving as one. They had done this countless times before. No species had ever stood against them and survived. Daewon watched them come. His finger hovered over the detonation button. Almost there. Just a little closer. The lead brood ships passed through the center of the debris field. Daewon pressed the button. Space lit up like a newborn star. Dozens of fusion explosions detonated simultaneously. The shock waves overlapped, creating a massive sphere of destruction. Ships caught in the blast simply vaporized. Others were flung away, tumbling and broken. In seconds, 600 brood ships were destroyed. The surviving ships scattered in confusion. For the first time in their long existence, the brood swarm felt something like fear. Then the jammer activated. The quantum communication network flickered and weakened. Krevnak's voice became distant to his drones. They could still hear him, but not clearly. Orders became confused. The human fleet struck. Captain Hana led the charge. Her battle group came in fast from above, using Valoria's gravity to increase their speed. The tactic was called hammer and anvil. Pin the enemy against something solid, then crush them. Railguns fired continuously. The sound of reloading mechanisms echoed through the ships. Slugs tore through brood vessels. Without clear coordination, the aliens couldn't form defensive formations. They flew into each other, collided, created more chaos. Commander Yuna's fighters weaved through the confusion. Human reflexes, evolved for hunting on Earth, made them nearly impossible to hit. They fired missiles at close range, each one finding its mark. Something else happened too. The human ships broadcast music. Loud, aggressive music with heavy drums and electric guitars. The brood had never encountered psychological warfare before. The sound was alien to them, disturbing their hive mind's focus. Colonel Jae Sung watched from his troop carrier. His Marines were ready for boarding actions, but so far they weren't needed. The space battle was going better than expected. The enemy is breaking, he reported. They're trying to regroup but failing. Tae Yang watched the battle unfold. The tactical display showed brood ships dying by the dozens. But he knew this wasn't over. The main command ship was still out there. The war leader was still alive. Day 1, can you locate their command ship? Working on it, sir. The quantum signals are all originating from one source. Triangulating now. A moment later, a new target appeared on the display. It was huge. Not just a ship, but a massive organic structure hiding behind the planet. That's it, Day 1 breathed. That's the Hive command ship. It's the size of a small moon. Suddenly, the brood ship stopped fighting. They all turned and fled back toward the command ship. The human fleet started to pursue, but Taeyang held them back. Wait, something's wrong. The massive command ship began to move. It accelerated toward Valoria, picking up speed. Day 1 ran the calculations and his face went pale. Sir, it's going to crash into the planet. At that speed, with that mass, it will cause an extinction-level impact. The entire Valorian civilization will be destroyed. Krevnak's voice came over all channels. His tone was cold and furious. If we cannot consume this world, then no one shall have it. You have delayed the inevitable, humans. The Valorians will still die, and you will watch. The command deck was silent. Everyone understood what this meant. They could destroy the command ship with enough firepower, but the debris would still hit the planet. The damage would be the same. There was only one option. Colonel Jae Sung spoke up. His voice was steady. Sir, my Marines can board that ship. If we reach the war leader and kill him, the hive mind will collapse. The ship will stop. Taeyang looked at him. That ship is crawling with millions of warrior drones. You'd have to fight through all of them to reach the center. It's suicide. Jae Sung smiled. It wasn't a happy smile. It was the smile of a warrior who knew what had to be done. Sir, my Marines were born for this. We train for impossible missions. We prepare for situations where retreat isn't an option. This is what we do. Around him, his Marines nodded. 500 soldiers ready to face millions of enemies. Taeyang felt pride and grief at the same time. These people trusted him. They were willing to die because he asked them to. But 8 billion Valorians would die if they didn't act. Prepare for boarding action, he ordered quietly. Get our people inside that ship and bring them home. Jae Sung gathered his Marines. They loaded their weapons, checked their armor, and prepared for the fight of their lives. Some wrote final messages to their families. Others prayed to whatever they believed in. All of them were ready. The boarding pods launched. Small armored capsules that would punch through the organic hull of the hive ship. Inside each one, Marines sat in silence, their weapons ready. Jae Sung looked at his team. Remember, we're not just fighting for Valoria. We're showing the galaxy what humans are made of. We're showing them that when Deathworlders go to war, we don't know how to quit. First in, last out. Let's move. The pods hit the hive ship's surface and began to drill through. In moments, they would be inside. In the heart of the enemy's greatest weapon, the real battle was about to begin. The inside of the hive ship was a nightmare. Colonel Jae Sung dropped from his boarding pod into a tunnel made of organic material. The walls pulsed like they were alive. The air was thick and hot. Everything smelled wrong, like rotting meat mixed with chemicals. His Marines formed up around him instantly. 500 soldiers in powered armor, carrying weapons designed to kill anything. They moved with practiced efficiency, covering each other, checking corners, advancing as one unit. Lights on, Jae Sung ordered. Stay tight. Watch for movement. The corridor ahead was dark and wet. Liquid dripped from the ceiling. The floor felt spongy under their boots. This wasn't a ship built with metal and circuits. This was something grown, something alive. They hadn't walked 50 meters before the first attack came. The walls exploded. Warrior drones burst out, dozens of them. They were insect-like creatures, each one the size of a large dog with sharp claws and mandibles that could tear through steel. The Marines opened fire immediately. The sound was deafening in the enclosed space. Bullets tore through the drones, green blood spraying everywhere. The creatures were fast and vicious, but the Marines were faster. One drone leaped at Jae-sung. He caught it midair with one hand and threw it against the wall with enough force to shatter its carapace. His powered armor gave him the strength of 10 normal men. Every Marine had the same advantage. The first wave died in seconds. But more were coming. The Marines could hear them. Thousands of clicking sounds echoing through the tunnels. "Keep moving," Jae-sung ordered. "Don't stop. If we stop, we die." Back on the command ship, Lieutenant Daewon guided them remotely. Small sensor drones flew ahead, mapping the hive's interior. "Colonel, the war leader's chamber is 3 kilometers ahead. You need to go deeper toward the center of the ship." "Copy that," Jae-sung replied. Then another wave hit them. This time there were hundreds of drones. They came from all directions, from holes in the walls, from above, from below. The Marines formed a defensive circle and fired in all directions. The battle was brutal and close. Drones died by the dozens, but some got through. One Marine went down, his armor torn open by multiple attacks. His teammates pulled him to the center of the circle while continuing to fire. Dr. Sujin's jammer was working, but only partially. The drones were confused but not disabled. They still fought with savage intensity. "We can't hold here," one Marine shouted. "There are too many." Jae-sung made a decision. "Grenades! Blow a hole in the wall. We go through, seal it behind us." Marines threw explosive charges at the nearest wall. The blast opened a new tunnel. They pushed through, carrying their wounded. The last Marines used cutting torches to collapse the opening behind them. They had a few seconds to breathe. Jae-sung checked his team. "Count off." 112 casualties, someone reported. 15 dead. The rest wounded but mobile. They had lost almost a quarter of their force in the first 5 minutes. But they were still moving forward. A new voice came over the communication channel. It was rough and aggressive. "Humans, this is Captain Rixtor of the Kranian Warband. We heard your distress and have breached the hive ship. Where do you need us?" Jae-sung was surprised. "Aliens coming to help them? Who are you?" "We are warriors," Rixtor replied. "We watched you fight. You fight with honor. We would join you in glorious battle." Admiral Tae-yang, listening from his ship, made a quick decision. "Colonel, accept their help. Rixtor, follow Colonel Jae-sung's orders. Work together." Minutes later, Rixtor and his warriors joined the Marines. The Kranians were reptilian aliens, each one standing over 2 meters tall with scaled skin and sharp teeth. They carried massive bladed weapons and wore minimal armor. Rixtor nodded to Jae-sung with respect. "You are strong fighters. It is an honor." "Save the speeches," Jae-sung said. "We need to reach the center." "Can your people fight in close quarters?" Rixtor showed his teeth in what might have been a smile. "Close combat is our specialty." The combined force pushed deeper. When drones attacked, the Marines provided covering fire while the Kranians charged forward with their blades. It was brutal and effective. The two species fought like they had trained together for years. They reached a massive chamber. The walls here were different, covered in strange organic nodes that glowed with bioluminescent light. Daewon's voice crackled in their ears. "Colonel, you're close. The war leader's chamber is just ahead. But there's a problem. My sensors show elite guard drones, bigger, stronger, designed specifically for killing." Jae-sung checked his ammunition. Half gone, his armor was damaged. His Marines were exhausted, but they had come this far. "Everyone listen up," he said. "This is it. The war leader is just ahead. We kill him, this ship stops, and the Valorians live. Simple as that. I won't lie to you. Some of us won't make it out, but we're Marines. We finish the mission, always." The Marines checked their weapons one last time. The Kranians gripped their blades tighter. Together they advanced toward the final chamber. The door opened. Inside was a massive organic space like the inside of a beating heart. And in the center, suspended in a web of glowing tendrils, was war leader Krevnak. He was enormous. 3 times the size of any drone they had fought. His body was covered in armored plates. His eyes glowed with intelligence and hatred. When he spoke, his voice boomed through the chamber. "So, the humans have reached me, impressive but futile. The elite guards attacked. They were twice the size of normal drones, with thicker armor and sharper claws. They moved with coordinated precision, attacking weak points in the Marines' formation. The battle was chaos. Marines fired continuously. Kranians fought with savage grace. Blood, both red and green, covered everything. The wounded kept fighting. The dying took enemies with them. Jae-sung fought his way toward Krevnak. An elite guard tackled him, its claws scraping against his armor. He grabbed its head and twisted, snapping its neck with his enhanced strength. Another jumped on his back. He fell, rolled, and came up firing. Rixtor was beside him, his blade cutting through guards like paper. The war leader! Focus on the war leader. Together, human and alien pushed forward. The guards tried to stop them but failed. Finally, Jae-sung stood before Krevnak himself. The war leader looked down at him. Your species should not exist. You are anomalies. Too strong, too aggressive, too resilient. You are mistakes in the natural order. Jae-sung raised his weapon. We exist because nothing could kill us. We survived because we never gave up. And now we're here to stop you from killing anyone else, he fired. Krevnak moved impossibly fast for his size, dodging and attacking. His massive claws tore through Jae-sung's armor. The colonel felt ribs break. Pain shot through his body, but pain was just pain. Humans evolved to keep fighting through pain. Jae-sung dropped his gun and drew his combat knife. It was a simple weapon, just steel and determination. He lunged forward faster than Krevnak expected. The knife found a gap in the war leader's armor, sinking deep. Krevnak screamed. The sound was horrible, echoing through the hive mind. Every drone in the ship felt it. Rixtor joined the attack, his blade cutting deep. Other Marines and Cronians swarmed forward. Together they brought down the ancient war leader. When Krevnak died, the effect was immediate. Throughout the hive ship, millions of drones simply stopped. The hive mind collapsed. The ship's acceleration ceased. Jae-sung fell to his knees, exhausted and wounded. Around him, his Marines and their new Cronian allies stood among the bodies of countless enemies. Mission accomplished, he said quietly into his radio. The war leader is dead. Get us out of here. Of the 500 Marines who entered the hive, 387 walked out. They had lost friends, brothers, and sisters in arms, but they had saved 8 billion lives. As the survivors boarded the rescue ships, Rixtor approached Jae-sung. The alien warrior touched his own chest in a sign of respect. You humans are worthy allies. From this day, my people stand with yours. Jae-sung managed a tired smile. Welcome to the team. The medical bay of the Indomitable was full of wounded. Dr. Soo-jin moved from bed to bed, treating injuries from the battle. Human Marines lay next to Cronian warriors. The species that had just met were now bleeding together. Colonel Jae-sung sat on a medical bed, his ribs wrapped in bandages. He refused to lie down. Outside the window, the Valoria system was finally quiet. The brood ships drifted dead in space. The planet below was safe. We did it, he said to no one in particular. We actually did it. Dr. Soo-jin smiled tiredly. Yes, you did. Now rest. That's an order. On the bridge, Admiral Tae-yang coordinated rescue operations. Human ships were gathering Valorian escape pods, bringing survivors aboard. The aliens were terrified at first, but the humans treated them gently. Dr. Soo-jin's medical teams worked to save as many as possible. Ambassador Thelvas was among the rescued. When he was brought to the Indomitable, he stared at the humans with wide eyes. His species communicated through light and sound, but the translation computers worked perfectly. You saved us, he said, his voice full of wonder. But what are you? You fight like demons but act with such kindness. Captain Hana smiled. We're humans. We come from a planet called Earth. It's a dangerous world that made us strong, but it also taught us to protect each other. Thelvas looked around at the busy crew. I thought you were monsters when I first saw you fight. Now I understand. You are not monsters. You are protectors. The celebration didn't last long. Lieutenant Daewon detected new ships entering the system. A lot of them. Admiral, we have multiple contacts. 200 large vessels. They're not brood. The signatures are different. Tae-yang felt his stomach tighten. Identify them. They're broadcasting as the Galactic Coalition. They're requesting we power down our weapons and prepare to be boarded. A transmission came through. A crystalline being appeared on the screen. Her form was beautiful, like living diamond. She spoke with a voice that sounded like wind chimes. I am Counselor Mirazel of the Galactic Coalition. You are the humans, yes? You have committed serious violations of galactic law. You must surrender your ships immediately. Tae-yang stood up straight. We saved the civilization from genocide. What law did we break? Mirazel's expression was cold. You engaged in unauthorized warfare. You used nuclear weapons in space. You killed millions of brood drones. You interfered in territorial disputes. The list is extensive. Territorial disputes? Hana said angrily. They were eating people. That is the brood's nature, Mirazel replied calmly. The Coalition has protocols for these situations. You should have contacted us and waited for diplomatic resolution. Taeyang felt his anger rising but kept his voice steady. How long would that have taken? Several months, perhaps. These matters are complex. The Valorians would have been extinct in days, Taeyang said quietly. We received a distress call. We responded. That's all. Nevertheless, you will be detained and transported to the Coalition capital for trial. Your weapons will be confiscated. Your ships will be impounded. Prepare to be boarded. The transmission ended. The bridge was silent. They had just fought a desperate battle to save innocent lives. Now they were being arrested for it. Ambassador Thelva stepped forward. This is wrong. The Coalition abandoned us. They knew we were dying and did nothing. These humans risked everything to save us. Captain Rixtor nodded. The Coalition is weak. They talk while others die. This is not justice. Taeyang made a decision. Open a channel to the Coalition fleet and broadcast it to everyone in this system. Every Valorian, every survivor, every ship. I want everyone to hear this, Day One nodded. Channel open, sir. Taeyang spoke clearly. Counselor Mirazel, my name is Admiral Taeyang of Earth. You say we broke your laws. Maybe we did, but let me tell you what we did do. He pulled up images of the battle. We received a distress call from people we had never met. People who were being slaughtered. Your Coalition received the same call. You debated. You discussed protocols. You waited. More images appeared. Human Marines fighting through the hive ship. We acted. We flew across the galaxy. We faced an enemy that outnumbered us 100 to 1. We lost 113 good people saving this civilization. His voice grew stronger. You say we used too much force. Tell that to the 8 billion Valorians who are alive because of us. You say we violated territorial disputes. The brood were consuming an entire species and you call that a dispute? Ambassador Thelva stepped beside him, speaking into the channel. The Galactic Coalition knew we were dying. They did nothing. These humans, these strangers from a world we never knew existed, they saved us. They are heroes. If the Coalition calls that a crime, then the Coalition itself is the criminal. Throughout the system, other voices joined in. Valorian survivors broadcast their support. Captain Rixtor and his Cranian warriors declared their allegiance to humanity. Even some of the Coalition ships began to question their orders. Counselor Mirazel appeared on screen again. For the first time, she looked uncertain. The law is clear. The protocols exist for good reasons. The law is wrong, Taeyang said. A law that stops people from saving lives is a bad law. A protocol that values procedure over life is worthless. Dr. Sujin sent new data to the Coalition. Counselor, I'm transmitting records of 37 other species the brood consumed in the past century. All of them sent distress calls. All of them were ignored by the Coalition while you debated protocols. How many more have to die before you act? Mirzel was silent for a long time. When she spoke again, her voice was different. Less certain. I was not aware of this data. Now you are, Taeyang said. So here's what's going to happen. We're not surrendering our ships. We're not being detained. We're going to help the Valorians rebuild, and then we're going to return to Earth. He looked directly at the camera. But before we leave, I want to make something clear to the entire galaxy. Humanity will answer distress calls. We will protect those who cannot protect themselves. We will stand against anyone who preys on the innocent. If that makes us criminals in your Coalition, so be it, Captain Hana added. And we won't be alone. Any species that wants to defend themselves, that wants to stand up to tyranny, we welcome as allies. The Coalition fleet didn't move. Inside their command ships, arguments erupted. Some captains wanted to follow orders. Others questioned those orders. The data about the brood's victims spread quickly. Finally, Mirazel spoke again. Admiral Taeyang, I need time to discuss this with the Council. What you've shown us. It changes things. Will you wait while we deliberate? We'll wait, Taeyang said. But not long. We have people to help here. The transmission ended. The human fleet held position. Weapons ready but not aimed. They had taken a stand. And now the galaxy would have to decide what to do about it. Ambassador Thelvas looked at Taeyang with deep respect. You challenged the entire galactic order. Aren't you afraid? Taeyang smiled tiredly. I'm terrified. But fear doesn't mean you don't act. It means you act despite being afraid. That's what courage is. 2 days later, Counselor Mirazel returned. This time her message was different. Admiral Taeyang, the Council is divided. Some want to punish you. Others see the truth in your words. I see the truth in your words, she paused. I am resigning from the Coalition Council. I can no longer serve an organization that values rules over lives. And I propose something new. A different kind of alliance, one where species have the right to defend themselves and others. Where strength is used to protect, not control. Taiyang felt hope for the first time in days. What are you suggesting? An alliance of free species. Those willing to stand together against threats like the Brood. Led not by bureaucrats, but by those who have proven they will fight for what's right. Led by Deathworlders. The word hung in the air. Deathworlders. That's what the galaxy would call them now. Not as an insult, but as a title. Species strong enough to protect others. Taiyang looked at his crew. At Captain Hana, Commander Yuna, Colonel Jae Sung, Dr. Su Jin, and Lieutenant Dae Wan. They had come here to answer a distress call. They had started something much bigger. We accept, he said, but on one condition. This alliance protects everyone, no matter how weak, no matter how small. If someone calls for help, we answer. Mirazel nodded. Agreed. Welcome to the Deathworlder Alliance, Admiral. I think you just changed the galaxy. As the transmission ended, alarms began to sound. Another distress call was coming in. A different system, a different species under attack. Taiyang looked at his tired crew. They had just fought the hardest battle of their lives. They deserved rest. But someone needed help, what do you say? He asked. One more rescue? Captain Hana smiled. Sir, we're Deathworlders now. This is what we do. The fleet prepared to jump. Humanity had come to the stars not to conquer, but to protect. And the galaxy would never be the same.